In our last video, we solved this system of equations by adding the two equations together. And the reason this worked was because we could add positive 7y to negative 7y and get 0y. This allowed us to eliminate y eliminate one of the variables and move ahead with solving this system of equations. So let's try this again. And what I'm going to ask you to do right now is to pause this recording and copy down the system of equations that you see on the screen in front of you right now. Alright, so you've got this copied down. Now the next step here is to look and see if we can eliminate a variable by adding these equations together. What do you think? Do we have a couple? Do we have any variables that would be eliminated by addition? If you look at this closely, you'll see that the answer is yes. Looks like we can eliminate y again. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead and pause this video again and add these equations together, just like we did on the last problem. So go ahead and add the equations together now, and then start the video up again. Alright, so let's check your work. 12x and negative 6x add up to 6x. Negative 8y and positive 8y add up to 0y. So that's it for the left side of the equation. On the right side of the equation, negative 8 and negative 4 add up to negative 12. So you can see we've eliminated y, and we're left simply with 6x equals negative 12. Now I'd like you to pause this video again and solve this equation for x. Is this what you got? You should have found out that x is equal to negative 2. So now go ahead and substitute negative 2 into one of the equations and solve for y. So go ahead and pause the video again and substitute negative 2 in for x into one of the equations and solve for y. So if all went well, I think you would have found that y is equal to 2. And the solution to our system that we found is x equals negative 2 and y equals 2. Well, now let's look at a situation that in which it doesn't immediately appear that we can eliminate a variable by adding, because if I add the left side of this equation, I don't eliminate a variable, and if I add the right side of this equation, I don't eliminate a variable. So it looks like we might be stuck here. But what I can do is multiply one of these equations by negative 1, and that will allow us to eliminate x. I'll show you how this works in just a minute here. Let's take the first equation here and multiply both sides of the equation by negative 1. So I'm just going to kind of draw a little arrow here, and I'm going to multiply the first equation by negative 1. negative 1 times negative 2y. And now, if I multiply one side by negative 1, I have to multiply the other side of the equation by negative 1. So negative 1 times 2x plus 8. What on earth just happened? So this gives us negative 1 times negative 2y, or positive 2y on the left side. And then if we distribute the negative 1 over the 2x plus 8, we end up with, oh, that was negative 2x. Negative 1 times the negative 2x plus 8. Then that leaves us with 2x minus 8. So there's our first equation. Now our first equation, if we multiply both sides by negative 1, is 2y equals 2x minus 8. Now, if I take the second equation and put it underneath, then I have negative y equals negative 2x minus 2. Now the great thing is I can add these equations up. So why don't you stop the video right now and copy down the work that you see on the screen right now. Okay, now that you've got this copied down, go ahead and add these equations together and see what you get. So stop the video again, please, and add these equations together. You should have ended up with y equals 0x minus 10, which tells us that y is equal to 10. Well, of course, now you could substitute that into one of the other equations and solve it for x. And that would be a fairly straightforward thing to do. Why don't you go ahead and do that right now? So pause the video again, substitute 10 into one of the other equations, and go ahead and solve for x. Well, in my case, I went ahead, I substituted 10 into the second equation, and that gave me 10 equals negative 2x minus 2. And if I add 2 to both sides of the equation, I get 12 equals negative 2x. If I divide both sides of this equation by negative 2, then lo and behold, I get x is equal to 6. So the solution to the system of equations is x equals 6 and y equals 10.